How's it going, everyone? My name is Jovani, and in order to explain the situation I'm in, I need to go back a little bit. This is my 1979 Chevrolet Camaro. I bought it about 6 months ago with the blown up transmission, and if you go back and watch some of the previous videos on this, you could see that I attempted to rebuild the TH350 that was in here. However, I failed. I completely failed on that, didn't get it to work, and I upgraded for a used 700R4 transmission that's now in here. That whole upgrade went extremely well, actually. Installed the transmission, car was running great. In fact, I started dailying this car 100 miles to work every day, back and forth. So the question is, how did I end up blowing up what seemed like such a good running car? You see, the thing is, I was really confident in this car. For some reason, I'm usually not. I didn't build the car. I didn't really do anything to the car other than swap that transmission out. The thing is, since I first got the car, even with the broken transmission, the first day, turned the key and the thing just fired off. So I really just felt like, this thing was solid. The car looks pretty badass. It sounded all right. It has a little bit of an exhaust on it. Overall, it was just running really well. So the only gripe I kind of had with it was that the car felt a little bit slow. And I kind of just figured that had to do with the fact that it probably had like 242 gears or something in the back of it. That's what I did. I went and bought gears. I bought like an eBay Posi-Track unit. I found some 342 gears on Facebook. I swapped them out. That was a process on itself. I've never really done gears before. I filmed it all, hoping that I can document the process, but not only that, I wanted to show how much of an impact just gears alone could have, right? This car was kind of a dog off the line, especially with the 700R4, like it just didn't really want to accelerate. So I figured I'm jumping a whole gear ratio point basically. I'm going from a 2 to a 3. Let's just see what happens. The gear change went pretty well. Nothing crazy happened. It just felt a little bit better. Like everything felt a little bit better, and I was like, yeah, maybe it was the gears. You know how it goes. You want more, right? I always want more. I want the appearance of the car to kind of match the feel of the car. And like, I'm only 28 years old. I don't know what a 1978 Chevy Camaro felt like off the factory showroom floor. You know what I mean? That's the thing, is like, I'm used to modern vehicles. I own several classic cars. Classic cars to me, when they're all original, have always just felt slow in general. So I'm the LS guy. I'm used to the LS. I'm used to, 300 horsepower on tap. That's just me. All the older guys I know, they were like, no, it feels right. It feels fine. I don't think these things were super quick off the line, especially in 1979 or whatever, but whatever. So my idea was, I'm gonna buy some performance parts for it. $800 later, and a couple days, and I had a new camshaft, new lifters, new headers, new aluminum heads with everything inside, upgraded valve springs, upgraded valves, everything. Actually, I think it was more than $800, to be fair. I think it was a lot more than that. Probably about $1,200 because of the heads and everything. Mind you, these were eBay heads. But yeah, all those things were just sitting in the corner of my garage, waiting for the perfect day for me to be able to just pop them in. And my plan was install all those parts. We already had our baseline, so show how much like $1,000 worth of parts will do. See, the thing about me is that I'm always thinking, would it just be easier to LS swap something, right? If you guys know me, I'm like the LS swap guy on YouTube, kind of, I guess. I try not to be anymore, but my mentality was like, no, I want to see what it's like to upgrade a small block Chevy. You know what I mean? I have the big block in the C30. I haven't really done much with it though. And I just want to see, like, at what point is it just easier to just LS swap something? Because let's be honest, parts are expensive. I spent $1,200 on parts just to make this thing go fast. In my head, I'm thinking my video is gonna be dropping $1,200 on a vehicle. Will it change it drastically enough for me to not want more power? Or should I have just gone with like a super cheap LS swap on it? So yeah, that's what I did. I bought a bunch of parts and I was just waiting for the right day. Meanwhile, I only have 2 cars at this point. I have this car and I have the spaghetti hauler, which is my 1976 C30 dually. That thing is huge. That thing wastes a ton of gas. I'm filling up that car every 2 days to go back and forth to work. This one, I'm filling up every 3 days to go back and forth to work. I really just didn't want the car to be down. I am like the biggest, like Murphy loves me. And so if something can go wrong, it will go wrong with me. Well, not more than, I would say, 2 weeks after those parts get delivered to my house, it happens. All right, here we are. It's dark. I'm trying to get the lights to go on. Let me see if I can get some hazards. But yeah, she's done for. No oil on the floor, so everything's inside the pan, but doesn't Doesn't help when it doesn't start no more and it's locked up. Now, I know there's not a lot of context in that video. I should have filmed more, but like the only thing going through my mind at that time was, how the hell did this happen to me? This is the second time I've blown up an engine this year. I just could not understand. I mean, I am not by any means I don't even call myself a mechanic. I don't call myself an expert. I do this stuff mostly for fun, mostly just to make content for you guys, just to show that like your average Joe in a garage can do some pretty incredible things, you know? Sometimes even I forget about the basics. I forget about checking your dipstick. I didn't film a lot because I was stressed. I had like a vacation coming up. I knew that I was gonna have to drive my dually back and forth to work, which is gonna kill me on gas. I'm gonna be wasting a ton of money. Not to mention the amount of money I'm gonna have to spend to fix this thing. I'm sure you guys have been in a scenario like that where you're just, it's stressful, right? It seems like everything is piled up on you. It seems like you just don't have the time or the money or an idea of how you're gonna get this done. So my question was, where did I go wrong? That day, I went to work as normal. I started the car and I heard like the tick, 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 tick. And I was just like, I think this car's always made that sound. It sounds like lifter tick. I'm pretty sure, I actually even knew like on the left bank, there was always like a little bit of a lifter tick. I completely brushed it off. Went to lunch, came back, whatever, 5 o'clock hits. Driving home, I still hear the lifter tick. Doesn't bother me at all, really. And maybe that's where I went wrong, is that it should have bothered me more, because no more than 40 minutes later, now I'm on the side of the road, engine seized. Before that, I remember passing one of the bridges on my way home and the tick was just getting bad. And immediately I went from like, oh, this isn't lifter tick, this is rod knock. And it was rod knock on the count of that there was a hole in the side of the block afterward, but we'll get to that. So I passed one bridge and I know that there's another bridge like maybe 5 miles down the road. So I remember starting to hear it get really bad when I passed the first bridge, and we're talking like as you're driving kind of sound, and I'm like, oh God. I immediately knew what it was, and I knew that there wasn't anything I was gonna be able to do that was gonna fix that. It was already bad enough to where I accepted the fact that this engine's gonna blow. Because 6 months before that, the same thing happened to me on my Miata. On the Miata, I had no warning signs ahead of time. It just rod knock, seize, all within like 2 minutes. I'm driving the Camaro, passing that bridge, everything starts getting really loud, and I'm like, I know what this is. I've been down this road before. And so, no joke, before I hit the next bridge, engine seized. I got it maybe 5 miles down the road, but my thought process was, if I'm gonna blow this engine, I might as well get as close to home as I can. Maybe I'll get lucky and make it all the way home. Maybe I'll make it another mile, but that's one less mile I'm gonna have to pay for either a tow truck or have my poor fiance Ellie sit in the car and have me tow her with my dually with a rope 15 miles home. That was my thought process. I just said, fuck it, just kept driving. And no joke, not more than 5 miles later, engine seized up, locked up, and I'm on the side of the road. Thankfully, I have really good friends and they were able to scoop me up because I had to go pick up the kids like within 10 minutes of that. And then I was able to have poor Ellie sit in the car and have me drag her home just so I could get the car off the side of the road. So what happened? My only guess is that I'm an idiot. I don't check my oil constantly. I'm lazy. I'm not the type of car guy that almost fetishizes these things. You know, you see a lot of dudes that just like obsess about their cars. And that's not me. That's not what I'm about. I like to drive them. I like to upgrade them. I like to test them out. They're machines, right? They're tools. It's a transportation tool. Just like this screwdriver, you know? If I need to, I'll break this screwdriver. If this is all I got and I need it as a pry bar, guess what? This is a pry bar now. This is an ice pick. It's whatever you make it to be, right? And that's how I am about cars, you know? I accepted the fact that this car was going to explode the minute I started hearing that rod knock. You know, I won't lie to you guys and be like, oh yeah, I check my oil religiously. The thing was, this thing was kind of slapped together to begin with. When I was doing the transmission swap, I noticed things that were just, you know, but it's like any old Joe in his garage would have done, you know what I mean? And I'm used to stuff like that. I'm used to, you know, things not being Barrett Jackson quality level. What I assume happened was it was probably low on oil. It was either low on oil because I never checked it. I'm not saying that's good advice, by the way. Don't listen to me at all. What I can either assume is that I did have an actual lifter tick, which meant that oil was probably going through the exhaust, and it probably just wasn't enough to be smoky. I know that my exhaust is really sooty. Chances are, good possibility, it was chugging on some oil. Probably started chugging on enough to where it was low on oil, or it was just generally low on oil. I mean, it's an old engine, whatever. Either way, block was seized. And so that's kind of where we get into this part of the story now.